Hi everyone, my name is deyaniracavazos and I am an LPC-associate from the state of Texas. Welcome back to my channel. So in today's video, I'm going to be doing something a little bit different. I got to partner with a fellow Latina LPC-associate and I'm so excited to share her story and some of her wisdom and knowledge with you. This is something that I've wanted to do for a long time because I want to also be able to share other therapist perspectives, experiences, and their creative ventures. I feel like there is a variety of things that we can do as therapists. Me and Melissa are going to be talking about topics from working within the Latina community and the niche that both of us share, what it was like for her starting her therapy practice as an LPC associate in Texas, a little bit of her background story and what led her to pick the niche that she did end up picking. So definitely feel free to go connect with Melissa. She is doing amazing work. So let's go ahead and get started with this video.
Hello. Hi, Melissa.
Hi.
Thank you so much for meeting with me today.
Thank you so much for taking time and reaching out for us to do this recording.
And I know I already introduced you, to everyone. Why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself, your practice, the type of population you service?
So my name is Melissa Leito. I am a Latina therapist. I'm bilingual. I'm here currently located in El Paso, Texas. I'm on LPC-A. I'm currently under supervision with, the Richard Salcido. And my specialty is adults, couples, or individuals that want to seek therapy. And kind of my niche is trauma informed, and a lot of like the family systems and stuff like that.
How do you feel that you came to that niche specifically? Do you feel like it developed over time, or was something that naturally you just felt drawn to?
Oh my God, this is a loaded question. And I had an interview not too long ago. It's really hard for us as counselors to open up a lot just because we want to make sure that we are taking those, the privacy and everything is we focus on the client only. So while I would love to share my whole story, I don't think I'm there yet. It has prepared me because being in the Latina culture, and when I started my internship, a lot of the families were Latinos and or women, throughout different ages and men as well. So being a Latina myself, I kind of identify with the same cycles and the things that happen in our family. I don't want to overgeneralize, but a lot of the things, we have kind of shared even some generational trauma. So I thought it was very important for us to be specialized on what my clients needed. And when I started diving into the family relationships, I started to see a lot of patterns, and I just kind of dive in, and it just became something that I'm so passionate about.
That's so powerful because it's something me and my own supervisor talk about a lot, of how there may not be a ton of research. There is some in our niche because we share a similar niche in that way. And we're conducting research every day, right? Like we're seeing these patterns that are coming up. Is that something that you like to keep track of or make note of, that, what, this is something that I'm noticing is coming up for a lot of my clients?
I do, obviously when we do have our masters, we're exposed to a little bit of how to collect data or stuff like that. One of the process that I do with my first clients, I do a genogram, and we start diving into the relationships. Okay, this is my patient, this is their parents, their relationship with their siblings, and then, sometimes our Latino families, we can't just account for the immediate family. We have to account for grandma, tia, cousins that also lived in that household. And those relationships also have an impact on the client and their upbringing and their development. It's very important to kind of consider all the aspects when it comes to our culture. So as I'm doing that genogram, I'm starting to looking at patterns with relationship with mom and dad, or relationship in between the siblings. And the clients start kind of acknowledging and like, oh my God, this is kind of, I'm doing the same thing, or my sibling just is becoming my dad and stuff like that, right? So it's very important for me, and I think that has allowed me, to get deeper within the family system, patterns that are unhealthy sometimes.
That's so important and powerful, right? When clients get to make that connection of, oh my goodness, this has been going on for generations, and some clients might not have known at all, and they start talking to their mom, right, or to their tias and to their abuelitas, and they start gathering this information and realizing, whoa, this is something that has been happening. And you know what, maybe some parents have already broken some patterns and chosen to do things differently, but they hadn't really been able to put it into words or see it until they come to therapy.
I talk about toxic family units and also about narcissism, which I feel like this word kind of gets thrown out, a little bit too much, but it's also important for us to address it. What happens with my clients is I do not want to have a relationship with my parents or my siblings, or what happens when, like I had to distance myself and I'm setting boundaries. I feel like that's also kind of a grieving process that the patient has to go through, and we can't just, in our culture, again, it's very stigmatized of like, what do you mean you're not talking to your parents? What do you mean you're not celebrating mom? What do you mean? Because we have this kind of honor and respect like engraved in us, right? So it's very important for us to kind of acknowledge the difficulties that we are facing, and also kind of validate, empower, for me, my clients, to know that whatever decision they're making for their mental health, it's very important for them, and there's no right or wrong answer when it comes to that.
Yes, and I've seen you also on social media, like where you don't shy away from talking about that. Do you ever feel like that does cause like the challenge or the upset sometimes because it's so needed? And sometimes even saying, you know what, within our culture, my parent or my cousin or my sibling truly is a narcissist or truly has been abusive. Using those words, it's like a shock to the system for a lot of clients because it's like, I can't even say it.
Talking with other collaborators or other people, just like you and me having a conversation, we start kind of normalizing, okay, this is something that, how much am I willing to, I'm going to use the word sacrifice or mental health, right, to maintain these relationships. And it's not that I'm wanting to steer them one way or the other, but I just want them to explore what life is, with having a little bit of that sense of empowerment for themselves, of deciding, what do I want? What do I need for myself? Even if it's going against the culture or against the norms. And on the other hand, we have the other part where even if it's not our Latino culture, right, but we have this religious cultural belief where we cannot have those type of maybe very strict boundaries. And that is okay for that person or my client that is exploring that. So, okay, how do we maintain still a healthy relationship even when you do not want to part from the family unit? And that's okay too. Like I said, there's no right or wrong. It's whatever is more personalized to the client and what they need.
That's a huge thing because I think a lot of clients sometimes fear that, right? That, oh no, like my therapist might make me, do this. And that's not our job. Provide education, and it's important to provide clients with words, right, that maybe they haven't been able to know of or use of before, and let them know, hey, these patterns equal this, this is what this is. But the choice is still yours, and I'm still here for you regardless. If you cannot, completely cut off your family, just know that, it would be okay if you do. This is a choice. You don't deserve to be treated like this, but if we're going to work through this, we need to find something that works for you. And I think that's the difference, like you're saying, right, Melissa, where it's like we know that cultural aspect, that it truly is like surgery. It's a very careful process and you're taking your time with it. And I love hearing your process of doing it too, because do you think that that's something that has come naturally to you as a counselor to approach it in this culturally sensitive way, or it's something that you've learned along the way?
I think, like if we were to have that transparency, I think we even sometimes struggle with the own Latina family, right? I come from, my dad is it's a therapist, my mom is a therapist, and that's something no one knows a lot. And what happens, I mean, we still have different ideas of what the approach and the treatment should be, just like a lot of therapists will be. We have kind of our own expertise, and they were therapists in Mexico. So even having that conversation, it looks very different, because let's say for my parents may see it like, oh, you're being very strict, very rigid and stuff like that with your boundaries. But for me, that's what I need to continue to have a healthy relationship. Some people say, okay, once you go to therapy, you're getting good, you're going to get all this, we're going to address the problems, we're going to good to go. No, sometimes it's hard, and it's a prolonged process, just because, okay, let's say you did decide to cut contact or minimize the contact with your parents, you still have to go through the grieving process. Like, I tell this to my clients, there's no way around it. There's no shortcut. We can't skip it over. Like, we have to go through this because we have that idealization of what we would have wanted to have of a parent. And for us to move that, we have to have empathy for our loved ones, right? But at the same time, we have to process that loss of wanting that ideal family or what we needed or what we wanted.
Right. It's very important to have that grieving process. And sometimes we need a physical action that will allow you to practice that grieving process, because it is so easy to just gloss it over, right? And to try to move on. And it's like, wait, no, let's slow down. Have you really thought about what this means to you and how it will impact you, like, over the holidays? I think the work that you're doing is amazing, within the
Thank you.
community. Even just seeing everything that you share on social media, I'm always like. It's like, this is so good.
I want to make sure I'm encouraging, but I don't want to stay away from hard conversations. And I feel like when I don't have much bad negative response to it, but it's still social media. So there's going to be a couple of those people that are not going to be completely in agreement, and that's okay. They're entitled to their opinions. But when they become a little bit more hostile, I just see the hurt. So I think with with this, with their line of work, we go and see everything to a different filter, where it's not, you don't react to it because you know that it's coming from a place of hurt. And if anything, we feel like this is why we're doing more, and we become even more passionate about it. There's a lot of shame and judgment when it comes to saying, wait, am I questioning my mom's own mental health? Am I questioning what they did for us? And me, I'm a first generation. It's a coming of like, okay, they did all the work, to make sure I'm in this country and have this great opportunity, but it's not just about the opportunities. Like, what do we do now? There's so much more that comes to it.
That pressure that comes with the sacrifice, right?
Absolutely. Ya hice esto por ti, ahora te toca, kind of thing,
Where it is very common for it to be flipped, where, well, it's your responsibility as a child to ensure that your life takes care of us, when we're older, takes care of all of us as a unit, or is something that looks good for all of us as a unit. For a client to gradually develop their own voice within that, knowing that they don't have to completely erase that part of them, but finding something that feels better to the system, because completely pretending like you don't have your own self-identity is just so hurtful, for the client.
People even talk about it either. It's like when you're a therapist, you have this like highlight and self-awareness. Sure, it was the same with your school, but it's like doing things with intentionality, just not asking a question just for the sake of it, or not just having an interaction for the sake of it. Not that you have to like prepare, have this 1,000 worksheets, but being very intentional with the things that you're probing, the questions you're probing, or the conversations you're having. Part that no one talks about, no one sees, is like us kind of like saying, okay, wait, did I do this for this reason? Did I do this for this reason? Where am I going with this? It's like 1,000 things coming into our head, right, when we're having interactions with our patients, but also outside of it, how am I responding to the people? Why are they evoking this emotion on me, or why? So it's a full-time thing.
It really is. Like, it can be hard to fully turn off. I don't know if any of us can really fully turn it off. I think there's maybe a degree where, okay, I'm in my personal life, so I'm turning it off a little bit. That heightened self-awareness is a good thing. And then also sometimes you're like, okay, brain, like, calm down. Let's just go, do some things. Let's get out of the office. But it's so important and crucial when we are on social media. Every story, every post involved us first sitting with it and asking us, what could this evoke? What's my purpose for doing this? Is it necessary? Could it be hurtful? Like, there's so much back end, right? Even to the way we word certain things, it's like, could this word be hurtful? Okay, let me modify that, because you know what? Now that I've sat with it, yeah, that could be hurtful. We can't be perfect, but it is important for us to go through that process, like you're saying, of being able to think from an ethical perspective of how I'm approaching this.
That's the part that no one talks about. I follow all this marketing, accounts of how to grow and how to like make engagement and all of this, but sometimes it can be just tiring because you go so much through the process of trying to be intentional and like drive a message, And then once you're the normal, you want results, and then sometimes you don't have them. But then the other part of saying, okay, this took a long process, just, from editing, making it, doing it, and then the post, and then the reaction and the engagement after. It's okay if I don't post as often. It's okay if I need to take a little break, every month, a week or something, or it's okay if I have to take care of myself first. We're not at the same market that others maybe that can, produce this 3-4 posts a day.
Are you the team? Melissa, is it you, or do you have like other people that you've hired to help you? Tell us a little bit about that.
So right now it's just me, myself, and I. I do want to follow up and have I'm actually looking at a couple people that can help me with the posting, not the engagement part, but just like the editing, which takes a long time. You want to make sure they're in tune with you and with the message you want to portray, and that you have the final word on everything. You're representing yourself, and not only yourself, but you're representing a community of professionals. And I think one of the things that impacted me the most is like, you have clients and people watching you that would have never took every ounce on them to go and reach out for help emotionally to do that. So I want to make sure that the impact that I'm putting is not positive, and it's uniting, and it's creating awareness and educating more than anything else, because it takes a lot of strength for people to reach out when it comes to mental health.
Talking a little bit too about like the community you service, I tend to see mostly either first gen or Latina women who it is truly their first time ever in therapy, or the first in their family. Different variants within that, right, where some it's not their first time, but that tends to be the largest population I'm seeing, because of what you're saying, like the intentionality of knowing that what I'm putting out, this could be someone that truly it is their first time. How would I want that to be marketed, to someone who is needing help but wants our culture to be represented and appreciated? So the community that you service, what does that tend to look like for you? Are there certain like age ranges, or do you also see like first in the family coming to therapy?
I see couples, and all of them are adults, and then an individual. And it started to shift a little bit, which I found very interesting, because I started to see a shift in more males coming into therapy. And for me, it's just such an impactful thing, because there's a whole barrier again with their Latinos of like, no, we don't have problems, no pasa nada, keep pushing, like just toughen up and do. But I think it's such an impactful thing that they're reaching out, and I'm seeing them like an elder generation. I have some demographic from even from their 60s or 70s, but I do have the awareness of the age gap and the age difference, right? So everything that I have to do, I try to do it always with respect, and with the sense of, you have lived and survived through so much things that I can't even think of. You're very powerful for having those experiences and the knowledge that you carry. But also, okay, is your first time going to therapy at 60, 70 years old? Great, like let's take advantage of this, right? And the power that can even have by itself, by saying, hey, being the example, instead of what you usually for the most part see younger generations coming to therapy. But now when I see older people, it's just as much as powerful, because then we have grandma and grandpa going to therapy for the first time, and kind of painting that path. What would have meant, if our grandparents would have gone to therapy.
Exactly. And do you see these clients like in person or virtual or both?
So I do, since I opened my new practice, I feel like I have more of a growing, it's a little bit more in person, but I still have, clients throughout the state of Texas that I see through telehealth.
What do you think was the hardest part, as an LPC associate, transitioning from virtual and into in-person and getting an office? What was that whole experience like for you?
Oh my God, it was scary. It was so scary. I do want to say this for any viewers, if this is your first time seeing your channel or following through this, I know this is going to be corny, but I wouldn't have taken that leap of like, oh my God, there's people like me doing it, if it wasn't for the first YouTube video I watched from you. So I was like, okay, does this even exist, where LPCAs have their own practice where they're doing their thing individually? Because I had come from an inpatient unit, and I was like, this is not for me. And then I have worked for another community center, and I'm like, this level of clients, it did not fit my values and my intent of what I wanted to do with my work. So when I went and Google, it was like very late in the evening, like we usually do, like scrolling on YouTube. And I was like, oh wait, this is happening. This is real. People are doing this. So I got up, I went to my office, started making notes and started doing things. So if you are that person that is reaching out and is looking at this for the first time, keep doing your research. As an LPCA, I think the most powerful video was when you said we are kind of told that we have to, again, the word sacrifice, like, oh, you're a therapist, you have to do the good of the community, and then you shouldn't do this for the money, or you shouldn't do this because of you want to be very, I guess, successful financially or in any other form. But I don't think that should be true, because we also, like everyone else, we have to provide for the needs of our families and for what we want, and we shouldn't sacrifice, our own goals with helping with our passion of what we're doing. And it's just outstanding for me to see, like, you don't see people asking engineers or scientists, like, or questioning them, why are you getting paid that much? Why are you doing this? But here we're in this field where we are advocating for mental health, and mental health also includes financials and stability and safety. So when I saw your post, and I saw your video, I was like encouraged, I can do this. And transitioning has been really, really hard, but I'm doing it because I'm doing it because I want to show that we don't have to sacrifice one or the other. It's very scary because owning your business is a very scary process, but I feel like I'm doing this because I want to make sure I can be that word, for others. And I do have some people that have gone through my program, and sometimes they reach out and I'm like, yeah, I'll help you. You want to do it? Let's do it, because I feel like if there could be more therapists doing their work and opening their business and doing their private practice, it just means that more people are going to be served in a different kind of form.
See that team, like you're saying, like even just on social media, seeing how many of us there are providing services to the community, and knowing that when we're helping someone else, they're bringing in a whole unique perspective of how they do it. And it means a lot to me, that those videos could do that, and could help someone feel like, hey, I can do this. Because similar to you, I mean, I'm a highly anxious girl, and I don't say that in a cute way. Like it's there for the things that I do. And so if anything, like Melissa's saying, I hope that you all are inspired, to know that you can be anxious, you can be scared, and also pursue the things that you want, or pursue, your dreams in a way that feels feasible for you, and take it a little bit at a time.
Most important thing is finding a mentor, finding someone that can kind of walk you through what they have gone through. And I think it's for us, when you get to a place of being able to help others, we can kind of pass the torch and kind of inspire those other people as well, when we are doing the best we can, and we're succeeding at something.
I'm excited for you, because when I saw your post that you were moving into your office, I was so excited. That's a big deal. Things aren't always what they seem, when people are seeing things. Sometimes they don't see the struggle or the fears that we have, So what were you feeling, when you were going through that process of getting your office?
I already have to renew my contract, which is for me like, oh my God, time has passed so fast. I know. But for me, it was very scary. And I'm going to give you guys a backstory a little bit. But actually, my therapist, because I do see a therapist, and my therapist, we were talking about it, and you're like, you're ready. You've been ready for this for so long. And I think it's, like I said, forming those relationships sometimes where you like get a little push and a little nudge, and you're like, okay, can I do this? And then, going through your finances, going through everything that you can, saying, okay, is this feasible? What do I want? And you don't have to have all the answers. You don't, you have to have the most basic kind of the foundation of what you're doing with your project, or, for me, it was my business. I have the things that are the most important. Okay. Then I move on from there. And then from there, you, like anything with life, you just keep on learning and learning and learning, and then making it your own. Would I want to expand my business? Yes, that's on the plans, and doing so many projects. But I also know that my limitations, and I'm not doing that yet, because I know that I have to kind of master something and feel really confident at it. And then when is the time I can move on to the next step. So that's the self-awareness we're talking about, of saying, okay, I don't want to chew more than what I can handle. There's no rush, there's nothing, so take your time, make your decisions, feel good about them. And even if they're scary, like you said, just move on and do the step.
I think it's very powerful when we get to hear someone's thinking process, behind doing these things, because sometimes when we see someone succeeding or doing well or pursuing their dream, we think that could not be me, because it seems like so far away versus making it feel more grounded. We're like, you know what? No, when I came out to this, I was anxious, when I was making these business decisions, I was scared. I cried a little bit, and I kind of worked through it. And I also experienced joy,
Yeah.
on the other end. So I love that we're normalizing that, for other therapists.
I remember reaching out. I'm gonna have my first client. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to maneuver through everything we have to go through. What are the steps? And now it's just like a cute, funny memory of like, oh my God, I was scared, but I still did it.
What did it feel like when you got through your first client? That's a big deal when you do it, like the whole process.
The whole process, but you were so kind and you did such a wonderful job of like walking me through kind of the process, of doing it in practice and using, making sure that you have all the forms signed and then the cards are there, and then you have that conversation of, okay, I'm gonna charge your card now. And doing all of that, and we go back again with our beliefs of like, I feel a little guilty for having to charge their account. And as you move on, you learn, the value of your work, and you also learn, that the clients are taking something with them, and that's what we are, offering those services.
So when I got through the whole process of initiating the intake paperwork and then seeing the client and then the charging that happened after, just going through that whole process. Afterward, I was like, okay, this was not as hard as I thought, but now that I've done it, I know that I've got it. But when you're first doing it, it's like, oh my gosh, what if I sent the wrong thing, or all these what ifs come in, and it feels so nice when you can talk to other people, because there have been people that have also come in and helped me when I've been panicking, and haven't known what to do. And so I love being able to also pay that forward, as much as I can. Because what do you think now? Do you feel like it's second nature just going through the process of it?
Yeah, it is. It's like anything. It's a whole new software that I had to learn, right? And with that, it's like, okay, it's when you have to learn it in a pace of like a work environment, like, okay, they give you a couple of weeks training and stuff like that. But when you're opening your business and you're like, the client's right here, you have to like, it's like sink or fail kind of thing. But it's like, it's very nerve-wracking, but at the same time, you keep learning. And I think one of the things that I don't try to, and I am very transparent with my clients, is having the normalcy of it, like, hey, I'm a little nervous, or you know what, not that I'm sharing with my clients my life or what happened to me, but saying, hey, I'm learning through the process of like this, so let me know if there's a glitch, if I'm not connectable, you can't hear me well, or if there's anything like that, like kind of addressing a little bit of the elephant of the room, right? Kind of when I do my initial interviews, free consultations, I do tell the client I like to collaborate in a way where even if I say something, if you're not agreeing on how your progress is, your treatment is going, or if there is something that you're just feeling like, man, she's not getting me, like, or why did she say this, for them to feel with 100% the ability to say, hey, para, because I feel like when we have and build that therapeutic relationship in session, it can carry over with other relationships they have or they're developing, right? So I think for me, it's super, super important for them to feel like they have the ability and the power to speak up and say something when things are not going well as well.
Touch on such an important point, Melissa, where even just culturally, I have to be the one to initiate that with clients and to consistently remind them like, hey, it's okay for you to disagree with me. Tú dime. I mean, I talk differently in session with clients. I'm very like chill, down to earth. So I'm like, tú dime. If something gets you upset, tell me. I promise I won't get offended, and I incorporate a lot of humor too, because we talk about very heavy topics, and incorporating that Mexican humor is also very helpful. You know what, you tried to set this healthy boundary, and it didn't work out. Let's talk about it. And my clients can also find the humor in it a little bit to lighten it up. And we also
Yeah.
spend time grieving. Like it's a whole relationship,
Yeah.
you're building with your client where they come in and you can tell like what happened, what I
Mhm.
can tell what's going on, talk to me. It's a very powerful thing. And I think when we're vulnerable, like you're saying, Melissa, it allows them to also know that I can be honest and vulnerable here. That's important to model. Any advice you would give to other LPC associates, maybe in general, or if they're wanting to start their private practice? What would you say? And of course, everyone take this with a grain of salt, but I think everyone contains so much wisdom and knowledge within themselves. So if you resonate with what Melissa is saying, run with it. And if you don't, kind of question maybe why you don't and see what comes up for you. But what would you tell other LPC associates, Melissa?
Just don't put the pressure of being perfect. Not even a
Yep.
senior therapist. My therapist, it has been in the field for over 25, 30 years. So they said not even the senior therapist will know everything, will not have days where like, oops, did I do the right thing? And is it working? Is it not? Like when we have that imposter syndrome. So don't look for perfection, look for progress. So if progress means, you getting a training so you can feel more, capable of the type of work you're doing, then do that. If that means that getting extra supervisions to make sure that you feel more confident, then you do that. Progress, look for the next thing that it can help you get where you want to be. We have to kind of do what we preach to our clients, and that is to be very kind and very compassionate and very, loving way to ourselves, because I think we need that for us to be able to do that with our clients. So
That's huge advice because I think we all experience that to some degree, right? Where we question if we're ready, we question if we're going to be a good counselor, especially that first year. We question a lot and
mhm.
it's easy to feel like I'm not good enough. How can I, as an LPC associate after graduating, do this? I didn't get to do it right after graduating, but I have worked with other associates who, right after graduating, they're launching their practice. Do you feel like there's something that you feel like would be important for them to know as far as when it comes to them identifying, their niche or them identifying their interests?
Important to be transparent. Like I say, don't marry a plan, because that plan could
Yes.
be taken away any place. So for me, when I first started grad school, I thought I was wanting to be a child therapist, and I was like, this is what I'm going to do, and I'm going to take classes, and I'm going to do that. And then I started going to my internship. I'm like, hey, I want to do adults, because like it's a whole different perspective. So just don't marry a plan. Be open, be flexible, and the best thing that you can do, because I do some career consultation for clients as well, is just try a little bit of everything. Look at the seminar, go and reach out to that community event, see what starts to spark out. I always tell my clients, if I can leave you with anything, is for you to be in tune with your body, because your body is going to guide you when something feels right, when something doesn't feel right, when we have to put a boundary, when we feel like we're overdoing it. Be in tune with yourself. Look at for things that you're trying out and they're sparking some interest, or they're getting you excited. So that would be something I would think I would tell them, just look for things that are sparking your interest.
Tell us more about this career counseling. You kind of like threw that in there. I'm like, eso no lo sabía. I didn't know that. Tell me more about that.
So the part that people don't know, like I didn't start with counseling. My parents were therapists. I'm like, no, I'm not gonna do what they did. I'm gonna do something different. So I está la Contreras. So I'm like, so I was like, so I went into business, and I did that for 10 years. I did everything with banking and did all of that, but I found myself helping a lot of people through the financial place. And I was like, that was great, like helping them adopt a child, how to get their finances, start business, doing all of those things were very fulfilling. But when it started to become very robotic of like just sales driven, is this like I started finding myself in a barrier. I'm like, okay, well, I like helping people. So from a very well job, I scratched everything. I had to start all over. And I'm talking about my late 20s. So what happens there? Well, it's very humbling because you have to, start kind of all over and set those expectations apart. So for me, it was very important to incorporate some of that, into my therapy. So when I was taking my master's and I started, kind of volunteering with one of the professors that was through career counseling. I started looking, what are assessment, what things can help people, walk into identifying what they're good at, what things, they can be working on. I thought it was very important to kind of incorporate that a little bit too into the client's therapy. Not for everyone, because I don't, it's not about what I think is what the needs of the clients are, but I do like to incorporate that of career counseling because I think it's very important. We have those people they're really good, and since they're little they know exactly what they want to do, and then we have kind of the late bloomers like myself where we kind of try different things and we're like, oh, I want to set this expectation because I want to make this much money. If that's not working, we have one life. What can we look forward to do differently?
That's such important work because it's still crazy to me that we're expected to know what to do after 18 and to have a whole plan, and I think that's so important because sometimes it really is nice to have someone to walk us through these stages in life and to be able to say, try things, try things and see what you like, because there's so much societal pressure to already have everything figured out. That's so cool. I did not know about that. Can people register on your website to work with you in that way, or is that something you only do with your therapy clients?
Yeah, I do mental health coaching, and for that, I do a lot of like goal-oriented kind of coaching. So this is what you want to do, this is what you want to explore, this is the goal you want to achieve. Okay, how do we go for that, and work towards that? So that's through mental health coaching too. So it all depends what the needs. When I do my assessment, I start kind of brainstorming the things, and as we start talking, right, we talked a lot about that culture, and the pressure of like, I'm stuck in this job, or I don't know what to do, or my clients are my babies and they're 18 and they just started, finishing high school and stuff like that, or they're the first ones going to college. That's career counseling for you, because if you're walking them through, helping them, like there's a scholarship, you can do that. Do you want to go to this school? How do you even go through the process of that? Part of your mental health as well, because those are making big decisions for your lives.
Vocational career counseling element. Would you mind walking us through what a day in your work life looks like? And I'm sure every day looks different, but typically, what it tends to look like virtually or in the office.
So I try to have most of my clients, even either virtually, for me to take it to the office, because for me, having that structure helped me a lot, having that little separation. So what I would do is just, get ready for the day, pack my little lunch, and then get to the office. And over there, I get there, I set up the office, make sure I have the music and the ambience kind of going. I have some snacks for my clients, make sure that everything is done. And then I start kind of looking through my schedule and seeing what clients I have scheduled. I start pulling up their charts, kind of like touching on, what the homework was that I assigned, or what we were going to talk about. If we're doing a timeline, we were doing something specific, I like to have the chart, and then I start looking, okay, what are we going to work on today? What are we going to do? Sometimes I usually have that when I'm done finishing my notes. I prepare for the next session, so I don't have to do that, but if I don't, then I prepare it, or I just talk about the things that I kind of observe that I think we have to address. And then we have our session. If I have a client after, then, I already have all the charts for the day, and I just kind of pick it up for the next one, and then we move forward. If there's some space in between, then I do my notes. I get ready for, I have everything ready for their next session. As we're having the session, I like to take a couple breaks. I try to leave at least 15 minutes in between every patient, just to make sure I have a time just to drink water, or go to the bathroom, or just like decompress a little bit. And then that's it. I just go through my day with my clients and make sure that we're doing everything that we can for them. At the end of the day, I try to finish my notes. That has been one of the things that has been like, if I don't do that, I will have carry on notes over and over. So I usually, we are tired because there's a lot that we go through when we are with our patients. So I try to make sure that even if I don't want to, is that like it's kind of doing the dishes, right? For the normal person that doesn't know what it feels like to do notes. But we finish them and we do them, because if not, I feel like that's additional stress that I will carry over for the next day.
I've heard, he escuchado de todo, where some people, they wait till the end of the month. My anxious self could never, but for some that works. For others, it's at the end of the week, and I have like 1 day a week that I work on them. But sometimes if I have a gap in between, I'll work on some.
Yeah.
And for others, it's that same day, right after each session or at the end of the day. And I think it's very interesting how we each work different in that way.
If I had 6 clients, so that's a lot of notes, right? So I would try to do at least 3 or half of them, and then the next day, because I found when I have like 20 clients during the week, 20 something, and then if I didn't do the notes, I like to send resources. I like to have my weekends where I don't have to worry about anything, but just enjoying them and being present, because I think that's so important for us as therapists. And I do know that if I have those notes lingering, I'm gonna be like thinking about it, of like, what was I supposed to send them? What was I supposed to do? So for me, it just gives me a lot of peace of mind of knowing, my weekend is mine. I reclaim it.
I love that you take your days off. We need that self-care time to just be ourselves, right? And go out and do the things that we want. And I'm so proud of you, I'm proud of getting to be a part of your journey in any kind of way.
Thank you. Yes.
Before we end today's interview, would you mind telling us, where other potential clients, whether it be for therapy or for career coaching, where they can go ahead and connect with you and find you, or even other therapists who just want to connect with you, where can they find you?
I am on YouTube. I'm doing shorts for now. I'm on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. Everything is under mental health in color. So they can find me through those platforms. I'm also in LinkedIn. Like I say, for me, mentorship is very important. So sometimes I like to reach out to other professionals and make sure we stay in contact, or, just kind of create those connections that I feel like they're important for us as well.
Well, thank you so much, Melissa. I hope you have a great week.
Thank you so much for making time for me.
Thank you so much for watching, everyone. I really hope you enjoyed this video and getting to meet Melissa. I'm so grateful that we got to work together back when she was a consultation client and just as a fellow clinician and therapist friend within the field. Thank you so much for continuing to watch and support my YouTube channel. It means the world to me. If you like this video, definitely like it, leave a comment down below, share this video with a fellow therapist or therapist in training, and subscribe if you haven't, and join the Keep On Growing community. Take care, everyone. I will go ahead and see you in my next video. Bye.